Gentlemen, I just want to get your take on what plays out today. Another one of these make-or-break moments for Joe Biden, 5:30 p.m., solo press conference, his first solo press conference in almost 30 months. The White House is already trying to lower expectations. I'm waiting to get word from the White House that the president has another one of those colds, that he had 2 weeks ago. Mark, how big a moment is this for Joe Biden this afternoon?
Well, on one level, it's super big because if he performs great, it's good for him. If he performs badly, some are saying it's catastrophic. Joe Biden woke up this morning, logged onto the internet using his Sidekick device, and found an ABC News poll showing him tied with Donald Trump. So I call him, Joe, I'm tied, F you, Biden, to those who say he needs to get out of the race. At the same time, my inbox is filled with emails from people close to Joe Biden, working for Joe Biden, working on the Hill, who say it's over. He doesn't realize it yet, but as soon as NATO ends, he has his press conference, it's over. This is two trains speeding at each other at top speed. Only one of them controls all the delegates currently.
Good visuals, Mark.
I know.
Good visuals, yes.
Senator, Nancy Pelosi did everything to not answer the question directly, but do you think she ultimately comes around and is the one to tell Joe, hey, you got to go?
I just don't see anyone coming around to say, Joe, you got to go, because what are they going to say? You got to go, or else what? There's simply no or else there. They don't have the ability to force him out. And you can see that the left in the Democratic Party, AOC, Bernie, and they're rallying around Joe. They're there for Joe. There is a division. And as long as the division is maintained, Joe has a place, has a safe harbor to stay. And as Mark said, the polls, even without the ABC polls, the polls have moved down a little bit, but not. I mean, it's not like the bottom has fallen out. And you're right, there are occasional polls like I think it was the Bloomberg poll last week that showed him up in a couple of swing states. He has enough. There's enough there for him to say, I'm fine. Will today mean something? I think it will. I mean, if he really crashes and burns, maybe that might turn some of his family. But I just don't see it happening.
I don't know. I think we've hit critical mass.
With affection and respect for Senator Santorum, I'll annotate two things he said. Otherwise, I totally agreed. One is, the only thing they have is to say to him, you'll lose and you will ruin your legacy. They can't appeal to his better angel. They can't appeal to his sense of, do it for the country. They have to say, you will lose. The problem they have is, because of this ABC poll and some of the other polls, they're going to be hard pressed to convince him of that. It's just a challenge to tell a guy, give up the nomination because we're sure you'll lose. And he'll say, go buy a Washington Post for $1.75. It says I'm right in there.
Mark, that same poll.
And it also shows that Rob's favorite candidate, Kamala Harris, is doing worse than he is. So the alternative, and it's clear she would be the alternative, is actually polling worse than he is.
That same poll shows that 67% of Americans want Joe Biden to get out of the race. So yes, the poll might find that they're tied, but 67% of Americans agree that Joe's got to go. This is not a good poll. This is not a good poll.
Choice.
That's right. But that only will reinforce in Joe Biden's mind that he should stay in. 67% think he should get out, and half of them are still voting for him. Half of the country is still voting for him.
I don't get...
I'm just telling you his mindset.
I get it. Mark, Joe Biden wanted to make this election a contrast between someone who fights for the country and someone who always puts himself before the country in Donald Trump, at least according to Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden has become the guy that's putting himself before the country. This is not good for the country. So I'm just wondering, why isn't someone like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi traveling to the White House and saying, Joe, why don't you spend more time with your family, your grandkids? You can pardon Hunter Biden and leave your legacy intact instead of handing the White House back to Donald Trump.
I think ultimately because they don't think it's going to work. Well, I'll say my they're not doing it because they don't think it's going to work. They don't think that he's in any kind of mindset that they're going to be able to convince him. He's the president of the United States. I know we have the impression that these folks are bigger than he is and have more influence and sort of control him as a puppet, but that's just not the case. He's the president of the United States. He has the delegates, he has polls, and he has money that shows that he can continue in this race.
Yes, but he might also have dementia.